Hi everyone, welcome to Gutentea. I am Ozan and I'm so glad you are here. Today we are going to break down mental health, what you really need to know no matter where you are in your life. We each have our own approach to mental health. What we think of it, what we've learned through the years about it, how to obtain it, or whether or not it is something we ever even consider. That makes it kind of complex because some of us grew up not even being aware that mental health was something we were supposed to pursue, attain, and protect in a way for our own well-being. So we end up doing more damage to our mental health than taking steps to preserve it. And here is the good news I want you to know. The same way you have taken steps in the past or taking steps now to protect your bodies, which is your physical health, you can take the same steps to take care of your minds, your mental health, because mental health is not fixed. It is something we can learn to nurture. So I'm not here to give you a lecture. I just want to share with you my stance on how we can understand our mental health better and preserve it. As you know, there are many ways to skin a cat. Well, I think you've learned through the years that having physical health does not mean that you have to be free of illness or injury. It's the same for mental health. To have mental health, we don't have to be free of problems or difficulties either. And when we say mental health, we're not talking about a diagnosis or a label, although we recognize and empathize with those who have been diagnosed with a mental illness. But today we are going to focus more on mental health, which includes our overall emotional, psychological, and social well-being. That is shaping our thoughts, emotions, sense of hope, ability to cope, to connect, to act in everyday life, to handle stress, to make decisions, and to relate to ourselves. So, if you consider your physical health like your outer world, then your mental health would be your inner world. And just like your physical health, it fluctuates. It's never the same. It has seasons. Some days feel light and open, other days feel heavy, foggy, or overwhelming. None of that means you are failing or unstable. It simply means you are human. We need to take care of our mental health, which is our inner world, the same way we take care of our outer world, our physical health, in order to stay grounded, such as practicing mindfulness exercises, setting boundaries and respecting them, getting rest, establishing connections with others, and so forth. Our mental health deserves care because neglecting it can make it feel foggy, heavy, or chaotic. I don't know if you can remember a time where you have made a decision while taking care of your mental health compared to making a decision without taking care of your mental health. What a big difference, right? It's like day and night. Almost like you're imagining making important decisions for ourselves and for other people when you don't feel your best. The consequences can be devastating. As I mentioned earlier, how respecting the boundaries we set for ourselves can be very important for our mental health. During conversations with some of my clients about boundaries, it's dawned on me that some of my clients were not respecting the boundaries they set, even though they complain that others do not respect the boundaries. The truth is, I think we all had stronger boundaries when we were younger because we didn't feel like we had to please people so much. We were going through life very free, thinking of what is good for ourselves, not for other people. But as we get older, our boundaries soften due to our desire to please others, and in turn, we neglect our own needs. Remember, when you set a boundary that protects your mental health, make a commitment to honor it first. Because if you don't, others won't either. Some people will challenge you. They will test your limit. They will dismiss your needs, your wants, your desires, or even try to walk over your sense of self. But your boundary isn't for anyone else. It is about protecting you, your clarity, and your calm. But the most important thing is you have to make sure you're letting people around you know that. Because there are those who think that when you set a boundary, it is about them. And they come to challenge you and try to convince you that your needs are not what your needs are, your desires are not, and your feelings, your emotions are not what you are telling them they are. So it is very important to let them know, when I was making or setting that boundary, it was not with you in mind. It was with me in mind. Please respect that. If you hold your boundary with confidence, the right people will adjust, and the wrong ones will show you who they are, and they will leave. And as Maya Angelou said, I love that quote, when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. You know, we get a lot of benefits when we take care of our mental health. We experience resilience, clarity, emotional balance, and the ability to experience pain, sorrow, joy, connection, and meaning. We learn over time to forge our own place in a world that does not see us the way we see ourselves, or refuses to make room for us to grow and thrive. So besides setting boundaries for ourselves and respecting them, we also need to get to know ourselves first. You know, I'm a big believer that we need to define ourselves before others start to define us to meet their own needs. When I have a client during the second session, that's what we work on. I would ask them, can you define yourself for me? What do you think of yourself? And they would struggle. They would describe themselves as what they want, what they need, their circumstances, their traumas. And we have to do a lot of work to make them understand this is not who you are. Because the moment we allow others to define us first, we begin to believe them. And their own definition they created for us stick, and becomes very difficult to undo it because we become who they think we are. In order to define ourselves, ask yourself a question like, who am I? How do I see myself in the world? And I want you to ask yourself those questions while you consider your distinct personality. Remember, you are different than everybody else. Not what you want or what you need. As I said before, not your circumstances, not your traumas, not what people have told you in the past that you are, but what you believe in, your values, your strengths, your weaknesses, resiliency, how you connect to others, your habits, the things that are meaningful to you. Ask yourself, how do I move through life? Is it by assessing, by feeling, by intuition, or by creativity? Because the way we process things help us understand what matters, what feels off, and where we want to go next. It helps us sense when something aligns with our mental health and with our truth, or when it pulls us away from ourselves. For example, someone may call you selfish. But if you already define yourself, selfishness is not one of your characteristics. And you have proven to yourself time and time again through your actions and behaviors that you are not selfish, then you're not selfish. That should not even bother you for a second. The person who calls you selfish just doesn't know you. Then you will not spend days and nights worrying about what somebody calls you because you already know. You may even feel pity for that person and say, oh, I'm so sorry. That person doesn't know me at all. The things that I have done in life, my kindness, my generosity, my act of service, the things I've done, they don't know you. So you can stay calm. You can decide to prove yourself to that person. Well, not really proving yourself, give them a chance to get to know you. Or you can say, it's not important because I don't need to prove myself to you that I'm not selfish because I already know who I am. You can use this example in most cases in your life as you encounter people who will project their own insecurities onto you. This is a game changer for maintaining your self-esteem, your self-worth, and maintaining your mental health. This activity can even be used with your children, your teenagers who are being bullied in school and online, or who are struggling with self-esteem and self-worth issues. Your own distinct personality can also help you understand the world, choose your path, and stay grounded in who you are. It can help you notice your reactions, your patterns, your emotional state, and how you navigate to each one of them, and therefore contribute to your own mental health. I know that you have found yourself in situations where you have reacted in a certain way and did not think you could react that way. I know I have plenty of times. By getting to know yourself over time, I promise you that you will start to notice those patterns. You will understand why and take steps to change the ones that do not align with you and with your mental health. So when you understand your personality, which is the quiet map you carry inside you, the outer world becomes easier to navigate. You stop confusing other people's storms with your own. You stop comparing yourself to others, because it is only then you understand that you do not have the same personality as they do, nor that you move the same way that they do. You know, we have a big problem with comparison in this world. Of course, social media contributes to it. We have children as young as 8 or 9 years old comparing themselves to other children, teenagers, adults doing the same thing. But when we understand our personality, we understand how we move through the world. So we don't feel the need, we won't feel the need to compare ourselves to other people because we're not the same. Seeking mental health is a continuous effort, not a one-time fix. You know, I've had clients telling me, why do I have to continue to work on my mental health? Why do I have to take a walk? Why do I have to go to the beach often? Because that's where I find my calm. Why do I have to do self-care? Why do I have to do a 5-minute meditation? Why do I have to do a 15-minute yoga? Why do I have to take care of my inner world? I always go back to those questions. Why do you have to brush your teeth? Why do you have to breathe continuously? Why do you have to do your hair? Because I know your hair wasn't the same way I saw you a week ago. Your nails also are different. So you've done them. Why do you have to do these things? Why do we eat every day? We ate a very nice meal last night and in the morning we're hungry. It's because we have to continuously taking care of those things. Society, for whatever reason, has taught us that there are certain parts in our lives that we need to take care of and certain we need to neglect. And I think mental health is one of them. We've learned through the years we don't have to take care of our mental health, but we can take care of our outer world. It is just unbelievable to know that's what we become. We think that mental health is fixed. We are born with it. We don't have to do anything about it to keep it going or to make it healthy. The truth is, we require different things at different times because our lives change. Some days we may need just to rest. Some days we may need to get outside or exercise. Some days we may need to be honest with ourselves. Some days we may need to be courageous or reflective. The most important thing is to go back to yourself again and again. Taking control of your mental health helps you understand how you move in life. It helps you to stay teachable and allows you to admit when you are wrong. It allows you to stay open to new perspective, face uncontrollable truths, question your assumptions, and look inward when it is easier to look away. It also allows you to reflect and turn your experiences into wisdom, mistakes into insight, and patterns into clarity. In short, it allows you to be self-aware, empathetic, discerning, humble, courageous, and reflective. I would like to emphasize that you do not have to do this alone. If you are struggling with mental health issues, either finding your mental health or maintaining it, find someone to talk to. There is no shame in that. Find a therapist to talk to. Our traumas and how we've been exposed to certain things, sometimes circumstances, how we define ourselves can make it difficult for us to find our path in securing mental health for ourselves. So please find somebody to talk to. I would love to hear whether this conversation resonates with you. Please join the mailing list below and share your experiences with me. Please subscribe to my channel and write a review. I so much appreciate your support. I also welcome your questions, your stories, and the topics you want me to explore and unpack. I look forward to explore them with you. May something here meet you where you are and walk with you for a little while. And wherever you are, whatever you carry, may this space remind you that renewal is possible and that you are not walking alone. Until next time.